Disneyland lovers, you might think you know just about everything there is to know about Disneyland, but we're here to fill you in on some of the lesser known facts. The park's history has some mind-boggling facts that will likely stun even the most in-the-know Disney fan. If you're having a hard time believing that to be true, make sure to check out these fascinating things that we've discovered about the happiest place on Earth. They pretty much prove that Disneyland is actually magical. In this video, we're going to show you 10 crazy facts about Disneyland that you probably didn't know. We're OnlyBrands, the channel dedicated to bringing you awesome regular content on the world's hottest brands. Let's do this. Number 1. Disney nicknamed the park's opening day Black Sunday. The very first opening day at Disneyland was a complete madhouse. As more and more people crowded into the amusement park, masses of food, drink, and bathroom shortages abounded. But wait, it gets worse. The summer heat even melted the freshly poured pavement, which trapped some women who wore high heels. Plus, the large crowds nearly tilted the Mark Twain riverboat over into the lake because the ride had exceeded its passenger capacity. Number 2. Walt Disney considered the park his life's most important work. When you wrap up a picture and turn it over to Technicolor, you're through, Disney told the Hollywood Citizen News while raising funds for Disneyland. Snow White is a dead issue with me. I want something live, something that would grow. The park is that. Not only can I add things to it, but even the trees will keep growing. The things will get more beautiful year after year, and it will get better as I find out what the public likes. I can't do that with a picture. Number 3. The building of Disneyland. It only took 1 year to be constructed with 2,500 laborers and cost $17 million to build. The Disneyland location in Anaheim is the only theme park directly supervised and built by Walt Disney. The idea for Disneyland came from Walt Disney after taking his daughters to Griffith Park in the 30s and 40s and watching them on the merry-go-round. The bench from Griffith Park, where Walt Disney came up with the concept, is on display in the park near the entrance of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. In order to gain further inspiration for his concept, he visited other parks such as Tivoli Gardens in Denmark, Efteling in the Netherlands, and Children's Fairyland in the US. Disneyland California Adventure was built on the site of the original Disneyland parking lot. In 2013, Disneyland was the third most visited park in the world with about 16.2 million guests visiting. The earliest documented account of Disney's plans was in 1948 in a message to a production designer. He referred to his concept at the time as Mickey Mouse Park. Upon opening day in 1955, 28,000 people attended. However, half of those purchased forged tickets or snuck into the park by hopping the fence. When it was originally opened, there were only 18 attractions, 14 of which are still running. Today, there is now a total of 51 attractions. And by the way, a lot of hard work and care goes into these videos, so if you guys could help us out by clicking the subscribe button, we would greatly appreciate it. Number 4. About the rides. The drawbridge at Sleeping Beauty's castle is fully functioning, but it's only been used twice. Once on opening day, and again for the opening of the remodeled Fantasyland. Did you know that there's a time capsule that was buried at Sleeping Beauty's castle in 1995 for the 40th anniversary, which will be opened 50 years later in 2045? The last ride that was personally supervised by Walt Disney was the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Thunder Mountain took 10 years of planning and 18 months to fully construct, costing $17 million. That's more time and the same cost as the entirety of the original park. The Matterhorn was the first tubular steel roller coaster ever, the first roller coaster that could handle multiple cars on the track at once, and the first fully themed indoor and outdoor roller coaster. There's a basketball court inside the Matterhorn that's for employee use only who use it to shoot hoops during their breaks. In the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, all of the skeletons used to be real, taken from UCLA's medical center. Pretty scary. Now there's only one human skull in the ride, which is the one attached to the headboard. And the Haunted Mansion is only a front for the actual ride, which is underground. Pretty sneaky. When you walk down the Portrait Hall, you're actually walking beneath the Disneyland railroad tracks. Originally, Disney wanted there to be live animals on the Jungle Cruise, but most of the animals were nocturnal and they would have been asleep during the park hours. The coins that are thrown into the water by It's a Small World are donated to a charity that grants kids wishes who have life-threatening illnesses. all of the plants in the Tomorrowland ride are edible to represent the advancement of humanity. The Indiana Jones Adventure was the most expensive ride to build. The 57,000 square foot attraction that Jungle Cruise skippers lovingly call Indiana Jones and the Temple of 3-Hour Line took 2 years and cost a staggering $125 million for 400 Imagineers to build. Number 5, home to dozens of feral cats. For years, employees have fed these so-called Disneyland cats as a free pest control solution. Today, you might spot some at the feeding station near the Hungry Bear restaurant, but they weren't always welcome. When Walt Disney stumbled upon the first flea-infested batch of cats inside Sleeping Beauty's castle in 1955, he adopted them out to staff members as quickly as possible. Number 6, that's right, Walt Disney hired spies. If you ever check out the firehouse on Main Street in Disneyland, you'll come across the second floor window. While Walt was busy building the park, he built an apartment that overlooked Main Street, which was at the center of where all the action took place. Walt had an idea to spy on guests with his family to see what they were saying about the theme park and evaluated their reactions from above. After Walt passed away, the company brass put a candle in the window to remind everyone of Walt's everlasting presence. The candle remains there to this day, so it's like he never really went away. Number 7, celebs working at Disneyland. You need to start somewhere. Steve Martin's first job was selling guidebooks and magic tricks at several shops around the park. Other celebrities include John Lasseter, the director of Toy Story, who started as a street sweeper in Tomorrowland, Michelle Pfeiffer, who masqueraded as Alice in the 70s, and President Nixon's press secretary Ron Ziegler, who was a Jungle Cruise skipper. That was an especially juicy fact, right? I think that one definitely deserves a thumbs up. Number 8, employees' secrets. What 3 words can't Disney employees say? The 3 words that Disney employees are trained not to say are, "I don't know." If a guest asks you a question, you always have to answer, no exceptions. An anonymous former cast member shared online, if you don't know it, find out, but don't say you don't know it. If it's a silly question, make up a silly answer. If it's not so much about the words themselves as it is the idea that you'd be quashing someone's question. Just imagine you're a child on a Disney trip and you want to know where Winnie the Pooh goes after he's done having breakfast with guests. You ask a character attendant cast member who says, "I don't know." That's a bummer and exactly the opposite of the personalized, magical employee-guest interaction that you want from the Disney park. Disney cast members are trained to create the best possible experience for the guests, and any and all things they say to guests must align with that. They never want the guest to feel like they're asked a stupid question. If you're a cast member, whether you're responding to a question or not, you always have to make the guests feel like they're the most important person you're going to meet all day. Cast members are supposed to make people feel like they're part of the magic, essentially. And the rules for cast members depend on where in the parks they are too. For instance, every cast member working at the Haunted Mansion is acting like a funeral director. If you try to make them smile or laugh, it's very hard to do. But needless to say, that's far from true for the rest of the park. The same cast member could be working at the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train the following day and be cheesing up a storm. The book One Little Spark, written in 2015 by a former Imagineering ambassador, provides a comprehensive look into the extent of the training Disney employees receive and how that creates the park environment we know and love. Number 9, churros, apples, and hot dogs, oh my. With more than 150 food and beverage locations, the Disneyland Resort offers more than 8,500 different food items, but some foods guests can't get enough of. Here are some fun Disneyland food facts. Disneyland Resort guests consume approximately 350,000 apples each year. If stacked on top of each other, that many apples would reach 17 miles into the sky, or the height equivalent of 1,146 Sleeping Beauty castles. If the 3.8 million churros that are consumed each year at Disneyland Resort were laid end to end, they would stretch 954 miles. And that's enough churros to line the Disneyland Resort monorail track 382 times. Disneyland Resort guests consume 860,000 Mickey-shaped pretzels annually. That's enough each year to serve at least 29 pretzels to all 29,000 cast members at the Disneyland Resort. If the 2.6 million hot dogs that are served each year were laid end to end, they would stretch 242 miles, or the length of 11,208 Millennium Falcons. More than 300,000 pounds of bananas are consumed at Disneyland Resort each year, which is approximately 130,000 individual bananas for Baloo from the Jungle Book to enjoy. Number 10. Disneyland is a no-fly zone. You better not fly over Disneyland as a pilot, or you'll never hear the end of it. The sole and exclusive motivation for seeking these restrictions is for the safety and enjoyment of our guests, said Disney spokeswoman Leslie Goodman, explaining that enjoyment meant everything from keeping out banner ads from trial lawyers to pilots buzzing the parks. No aircrafts are allowed to fly within a 3-mile radius of Disneyland. We never noticed this before. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it, but why stop now? Click this video right here for more awesome content.